I can't share this with somebody else because everybody's perfect. Nobody else is dealing with this.
Hello and welcome to WalktheTalk. Today we're talking about something that a lot of people have experienced at one point or the other. We all have experienced fear. And today we want to specifically talk about the fear of man. Scripture talks about us fearing God and not fearing man. So we want to delve into that topic today, and I want to explore it with my co-host. First question for you ladies is, why do we as believers experience fear of man? What are the causes behind that?
I do think it boils down to self-preservation. You want people to think of you in a certain way, and you hold back. For example, if you're struggling or you have an issue, even in the church, you don't want to share it because you think people are going to see you in a different light. Sometimes it is true, but like the main reason why you don't want to come out with it, you just don't want to be judged. Because like, okay, let's just say you're falling in hard times, people will be like, oh, but I don't know, so what was she doing with her money? You see how she's dressing? She's dressing so, she's wearing expensive clothes, this, that, and the third, but she was giving a testimony. Exactly. Now she's behind her bills, now she's behind her rent. You're not going to share because people are going to be like, well, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it's self-preservation most of the times that I do. Fear does play in that.
So we worry about how others are
going to perceive you. Yeah. Exactly. Because like if I go to this particular person and I share with them and I know they're not going to think of me otherwise, I don't think you're scared about that. But like if you're not sure or you're suspicious about something, you're just not going to share it. Whether it's true or not.
Yeah. I would agree. I think that you want to put forth your best self, right? Yes. You want everybody to see you in this well-rounded package. So the moment that you are vulnerable, people no longer see you in that light. Yeah. And so you're fearful of what they might actually think of you after all the glitz and glams aren't there anymore. So I think that just that expectation or trying to meet expectations of other people is what causes that fear. You want them to feel a certain type of way about you. That's what it boils down. You want them to have this idea. You want to be associated with this reputation.
Yes.
And so anytime you fall short of that, you're scared, you're self-conscious. Well, what's going to happen next? What are they going to think next? So I think that it's just that mentality of, what's done behind closed doors. So it just has to be me putting the best light, and that's all you see.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's good. I think another aspect of it is just tied to our desire to belong, our desire to be accepted.
Yes.
So when you feel like if I share a certain part of me with people, they're not going to accept me. They're not going to, you feel like that's threatened. Sometimes that can lead people to say, you know what, I'm just going to hide. So I definitely feel you. Okay, so just piggybacking off of that first question, how do you think that fear shapes how we behave and how we live and how we walk?
I think it doesn't leave room for people to be vulnerable. I think that because you have put up this put forth this certain person,
right.
Anytime that you don't meet that expectation, you're too embarrassed to confess that. You're too embarrassed to show that. So now we're in a place, specifically in the church, where people aren't telling people what they struggle with.
Yeah.
So now we can't share those things. So now we can't build each other up. Because people may think like, I'm the only one struggling with this. I'm sitting in the congregation, but I can't share this with somebody else because everybody's perfect. Nobody else is dealing with this. But it's 14 other people in that congregation dealing with the same thing.
Yeah.
But because we have this perception of nobody's being vulnerable, nobody's saying that, so everybody's on their own island. I feel like I'm the only one who's dealing with this. And so we're missing out with the testimonies. We're missing out with just being able to grow with each other and help each other grow, just because we want share, just share what you're experiencing, whether it's good or bad. Let us celebrate with you, but also let us lift you up. But I think that just that self-preservation is stopping us from being able to reach others.
So how does the enemy use fear to his advantage? What do you guys think?
Well, I just think that, the enemy stops us from that sharing. Like, okay, so once you feel like I can no longer share with somebody, then you're in this place where, like, this is only me. And so then this can lead to depression. This can lead to anxiety. So now the enemy has hit your mind to make you think, I'm the only one who's dealing with this. Nobody else can relate to me. Nobody else even cares what's going on with me. And so it can be a result of a downward spiral.
I agree.
And so now it's touching every aspect of your life. There's every area that can cover. Depression doesn't just hit one area. That's your whole life type thing. So if the enemy comes to you in that way and you can't resist him, and you don't have the strength, you don't have the family that you need, that support system to help you fight back with that, then it can cause destruction in all areas.
I agree. So one way in which I think the enemy uses fear of man to his advantage is we're called as believers to share the gospel, right? So a lot of times fear of man plays into, at least I can speak for myself personally. You worry sometimes about, okay, this is not really a culture where you can just go up to people and just start, spouting your beliefs, or even like, it sometimes feels like you're being intrusive. You're invading their faith space by telling them about, what you believe, and, so that can feel, sometimes you can feel that pressure to just keep your mouth shut and not share, so I think the enemy can use that pressure and turn it into a fear in our hearts where we feel like, okay, if I share this with this person, it can kind of make the relationship kind of feel awkward, or, they might look at me in this particular light, like I'm this loony, just Jesus freak who just doesn't get it, whatever. So I think the enemy can definitely use fear to stifle us from, just even sharing the gospel and winning souls to Christ. That's one way. I think another way is in terms of building genuine sisterhood. If we have fear of man, we're keeping walls up. We're not sharing, like you said, genuinely from our hearts and letting people know what's really going on with us, or allowing them to be able to just be free with us and share genuinely from their hearts. And I think finally that it can be a distraction from just truly living for Jesus. I think if we're wrapped up in what everybody else thinks of us, then where's the space for what God thinks of us? We're living for this audience when we're supposed to be living for him. So I think a lot of times it just takes our focus off of what we're actually supposed to focus on. So the enemy can use that to his advantage by having us wrapped up in this world of, this really quite irrelevant world, to be honest. I'm not saying the world we live in is irrelevant. God cares about how we treat each other, but if we're wrapped up in the approval of people, when on the last day the approval of people are not going to matter, it's not going to matter, the approval of God is what's going to matter, then we waste time focused on the wrong things. So
and I also think we are created for community.
Yes.
So if you're by yourself, the fear is going to cripple you. You're not going to be able to do anything or to say anything, and you're going to start believing stuff that's not even true.
Yes.
So now, if we're not sharing within the community, how is God going to get the glory? Because nobody's going to know. You know what I mean? Like, God hasn't given us that spirit. We know it's not from God. That's the enemy. And like when we buckle down under fear, the enemy is winning. The enemy is winning. So like we have to come out of fear. Like, we all experience fear in certain ways. But I do think we also excuse it. Like we sort of like sweep it under the rug. It's like, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna keep it moving. But it's something that needs to be addressed. It's something that we definitely need to address it, especially in the church. Like, I shouldn't be scared to share this with my sisters in the church. Fear of, or just because, you know what I mean? Like, they're gonna do this, say this,
look
like
at me a certain way.
Yes. We shouldn't cultivate that lifestyle, especially within the church.
And I just want to add to this because this just came to my mind. even a lot of people today are sitting on gifts that the Lord has blessed them
Yes.
with because of fear of man.
Yeah.
Because of fear of man, this show might not even have started. You know what I'm saying? Like, just being, I know, I can speak for myself personally. Being in front of an audience of people, you know, I would rather just live my merry little life, you know, with no one, you know, looking in my direction and just, you know, not be under any kind of scrutiny. You know, like, I would prefer that personally, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, what we're called to do when God puts a passion on our hearts to do something that will build his body, you know, that takes priority over whatever else is going on in our mind in terms of like our fears, you know. So a lot of people are sitting on gifts that could be a blessing to the body, that could build the body, you know, because we're worried about how everybody else will see us or what everybody else is going to think, and we have to push past that. We just have to
I agree.
Yeah.
So what do you think our church culture, just culture in general, would look if we remove fear of man?
Oh my goodness. Oh man.
You know what? The other thing is we forget, like, you know, fear is sin. We don't see fear as sin. So when you don't see anything as sin, you keep it moving. And, you know, like, we are to pluck out. If this thing is causing you to sin, you have to pluck it out. And fear is going to affect your faith.
Is fear sin for real?
Oh yeah, the spirit of fear is
I
not
didn't
from
know
God.
this for real.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, so the spirit of fear is not from God, but every time that you feel fearful or afraid, is that a spirit necessarily?
Well, what you have to ask yourself, like, okay, what are you afraid of?
Okay.
Like, you know, that's coming in. You don't have faith in a certain thing, so as a result, fear is going to kick in.
Okay.
You know,
So
they're saying, like, you know, I am to fear God.
Right.
That's not the fear that we're talking about here.
Right,
You see, I'm fearing man. So already I've created an idol. The scripture calls me to fear God.
Wow.
If I'm fearing portion,
Right.
I've just substituted portion with God. Like, you know, the scripture doesn't say like, oh, and when it calls, like, you know, fear your parents, it's honor your parents. There is a healthy way for you to
do that.
you see what I'm saying? But this is not the fear that we're talking about. We're talking about, oh, you know what? Oh, I'm scared of my mom. Okay, I did something. So you know you want to get something. And obviously, that's you look at it, it's, you know, and usually fear has got something to do with sin. But we don't see it that way. We always excuse it, especially when it comes to man. Fear of man is sinful. We are to fear God.
And in a way, we do kind of have a low view of God when we're wrapped up in what
it's
everybody else thinks of.
Yeah, it's easier for you to fear something that you see and like something that you don't see. So like, oh wow, I'm not gonna do that. Like, oh, Kumbi's watching. So, you know what I mean? It'll be easier for you to do something that's against God because it's just like, you know, oh, God is forgiving. Oh, I'm gonna pray about it. Oh, He knows my heart. And you just, you know, you just keep doing it. So, yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I think so too. I think that if we could remove fear of man and we could really cultivate like fearing God, putting that first in priority, and if we really thought about that like before we made decisions, then I think that we would be in a whole lot better place. I think a lot of the decisions that we do make, we wouldn't be making them, you know, like you would second guess, you know. And just living, you know, people are all in today about like they just want to live their free is free. But they still have that fear of man. Whether you are in the church or not, you know, you still, everybody's experiencing fear of man. So like if you really want to live free, you want to live free of other people. You want to live free of man. You know, you should only want to live, you know, only having to acknowledge only God versus having other people meeting their approval. If we could just live in a place where as long as I know that I'm right with God, it doesn't matter what anybody else says, then I think that we will be in a much, much better place than where we are.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we didn't have that limitation of the fear of man, that we would be sharing the gospel a lot more boldly. You know, I think that'd be a big part of it. I think we'd be doing community a lot differently. I think we'd be a lot more engaged in each other's lives in more intricate ways, you know. I think things would look significantly different. God help us. You know,
I do think because we also nurture it. You know what I mean? Like you already know, you nurture your fear and unbeknownst to you, it's crippling you. And the enemy likes that. And like, if we view some of these things that we do, we have so much excused of, like, it will really save us well. So like, yeah, I'm thinking, wow, man, self-examination, like, so much stuff, like, okay, I don't even want to go there, I don't even want to touch it, because you have been paralyzed by that fear, and you don't even know it. It becomes normal, and you just, oh, okay, I don't go this way, I just go this way, go this way, and time is going, you're missing out on opportunities, ways how we can be saving each other, saving the community, and doing all sorts of things. And I think it will affect your faith in certain areas where fear is concerned.
So what do you guys think are some practical ways that we can actually go about cultivating this type of culture where fear of man no longer has authority over us?
Amen. That would be awesome. Yeah, I think we have to be we have to be honest. Like, think of yourself like, okay, what do I fear and why? I think it can be done within yourself, and then come out of that issue. I think that will be God honoring, because it's not going to take a stronghold of you. The things that we do in darkness, we're hiding, it will take a stronghold of you. So like, we need to come out, and we shouldn't be shaming people also, because some people don't want to come out because they don't want to feel ashamed, just because how they might be seen or how they might be treated. It's hard, but God has called us to those things, and He says it's not from Him. So if it's not from God, where is it from?
Right. Yeah. I think God definitely connects with our just our fears. Honestly, like throughout Scripture, you see Him say, "Fear not." Fear not. An army will come against His people, and they will be trembling, they'll be worried, even though God has done all kinds of just amazing, ridiculous things for them, and they've seen God work in mighty ways. But something maybe not even half as big as what happened before, and God delivered them out of what happened, and then they go berserk, like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get murked. Like they start worrying and everything else. And the Lord, being so compassionate and so merciful, will still say, fear not. Like He'll still comfort them. He'll still reassure them. He'll still. So I think that the best place to go to when you feel fear is just to go to God. Like, talk to the Lord first and foremost. Like, God, please help me, I'm afraid. And He'll meet us there. He gets it. He absolutely gets it. He's been touched. He's touched with the same kind of infirmities that we have experienced as Jesus. So He gets it. And I just think when we're able to just be vulnerable with God like that, that's part of what builds the intimacy. We're not hiding. We're not pretending like, oh yeah, God, I'm bold. Yeah, I'm bold. Just present. We don't need to do all that. Like, we can be like, God, I'm scared. Like, give me grace. Give me help, strengthen me. And then there's a scripture that talks about taking every thought captive to obey Christ. We can do that. We can say this is not of God, like you were saying. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound. We can do that. We can actually take that thought captive and say, no, this doesn't have to paralyze me into not doing what I know is of God to do, and just move in faith.
Thank you for watching Walk the Talk. Remember, God hasn't given us the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and sound mind. Subscribe, share the video, and like. Until next time, thank you.
Sometimes we have discontentment with where we are in life. And we can kind of look back and say, dang, if I did this, that, and the third, then I would be in a completely different place right now.
I wanted to get a boyfriend. So I said, I'm going to wear heels. I had my sisters take me shopping so I can get, my outfit.